Hi everyone. First of all, welcome for today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about navigating year-end form changes. There's some compliance changes and some other things that are happening this year that employers should know about to get ready for their year-end filing. So a little bit about me. My name's Hannah Walk. I am the product manager here at Greenshades for tax and compliance. I have been working in compliance products for more than 8 years, spanning property tax, affordable housing, data privacy, corporate ethics, and payroll tax. I've been a Greenie since earlier this year, and I'm really excited to be joining everyone for this year end. Also really happy to be presenting today with my colleague, Laura Deitch.
Hi, my name is Laura. I am the compliance manager. I have been with Greenshades since 2013. Most of those years were in compliance. Prior to that, I have over 30 years in finance and accounting with public housing, and I'm a graduate of Du Bois Business College with a degree in accounting and business management. An interesting fact is I can't get enough of tax forms, so on the side gig that I do individual tax returns. Happy to have y'all here.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. So we'll talk a little bit about today's agenda. So today we have a pretty tight agenda for today. It's about 30 minutes. And so we are going to be talking about, first of all, unraveling those year-end forms. We're going to be talking a little bit more about payroll tax returns, as well as exploring modifications and changes that are coming this year. And then we're going to wrap up and open the floor for Q&A to answer all the questions that you put into the question box. Before we get too far into it, we do need to provide a legal disclaimer. Neither Laura nor I are lawyers, and this content is not formal legal advice. If you do need advice, we suggest working with your local counsel, as well as your organization's legal and accounting teams before you make any big decisions. The purpose of today's presentation is to provide a high-level overview of the year-end form process and talk about how Greenshades software can help you. If you do need access to counsel and you don't have any, Greenshades does partner with an organization called My HR Counsel, which gives our clients access to affordable online on-demand legal advice. So let's get into it. We're going to start off today by talking about year-end forms. And the first thing we're going to talk about is the W-2.
So everybody should be familiar with the W-2 form. They've either received one as an employee or working in the payroll environment, you have issued them. But a brief rundown, on the W-2, the letter boxes, those are the informational sections for the employer and the employee. It is critical that the name that you use for your employer and the EIN does match the IRS records. And likewise with the employee section, that the Social Security name and the number match what is with the Social Security Administration. So even if an employee may have changed their last name due to marriage or divorce or for whatever other reason, if they have not changed it with the Social Security office, it's not officially changed. Going down the numbered boxes, your federal wage and tip income, boxes 1, 3, 5, and 7, the taxes that coincide with those are in 2, 4, and 6. Box 8 is your allocated tips. And 10, if your company offers dependent care benefits, that needs to be filled in. Also, be careful that you fill that in correctly. Your box 12, we all know that has a long laundry list of codes. One of the codes I point out is the DD, the healthcare cost. That is representative of both the employer and the employee cost. Code J, if the employee purchased paid sick leave, that would go, any information that was related to you from the insurance company would go in as a code J. If the employer purchased that insurance, there is no code in box 12. There's a checkbox in 13 that gets checked. And if you want to put additional information in, you can use box 14. Code W would be your HSA information in box 12. Interesting enough, the information that you do place in box 14 does not go to the IRS unless you mail those forms in, which you really don't want to do this year. So the other boxes are for your state and local information. 2 lines for each. If you're reporting more than 2 lines, you don't want to squeeze it in. You want to add a second page. On that second page, you will only complete the lettered boxes and any additional information that did not fit on the first page. That may happen with your local taxes, as some states have local service taxes, school district, JEDs, municipalities, a whole variety of different options that you may have to list there, especially if the employee moved during the year. The one really big thing, your box 3. Box 3 is Social Security wages. You want to make sure when you get off of this call, you go back to your accounting package and make sure you have 2023's Social Security wage base of $160,200 in there. Now is the time to fix that if you don't, so that if you have any employees who meet that amount, the correct tax withheld is there. Otherwise, you're going to end up correcting a W-2 along with your 941s. That's it for me on W-2s. Hannah?
All right, we will pass it back. And if you are filing W-2s, you likely are also filing 1099s. 1099s are the forms that we provide to vendors as well as other non-employees of our company who are doing work for us or earning income from our organization. So the most common types of 1099 you're going to fill out are the 1099 MISC. This is where you report various types of other income, so things like fees, commissions, prizes, some other really specific types of income. The one that I think most of us are going to be familiar with this year is the 1099 NEC. NEC stands for non-employment income. And this is where you're going to, non-employment compensation. This is where you're going to be reporting any transactions of $600 or more paid to an individual or an unincorporated business when someone does work for you but is not employed by your company. So it's going to be your freelancers, your independent contractors, anyone who does work for you but does not have a W-2. And then the other one that we see really commonly is the 1099 div. This is where you are reporting dividends and other distributions from investment accounts, including stocks, mutual funds, and other types of securities investments. Greenshades does also have the ability to support many other 1099 form types. That includes the K, C, PATR, R, S, INT, and B. These are all pretty specialized forms that cover different types of non-employment compensation that you might receive from a retirement account, investments, the sale of property, or other types of payment. One thing that we do want to highlight, and we'll get a little bit more into this, is the 1099K. This is something most people probably aren't familiar with, but there's some significant changes coming this year that are going to make a lot of us a lot more familiar with the 1099K. On top of that, many of us this year are also going to be needing to file 1095C. The 1095C is the form and paperwork that we use to confirm our organization's compliance with the Affordable Care Act. And so this is the information that gets reported about the coverage that was offered, the employee contributions toward that health insurance, as well as what months the coverage was offered. And so this is a form that needs to be both filed with the government as an information return, as well as evidence provided to your employees in the event of an audit. And so we do offer full coverage for 1095C filing. And then on top of that, we also offer support for many other forms that you might need to be filing at the end of this year. The 1042S, 1095B, the 1098 series, specialized W-2s for Puerto Rico and Guam, the W-2G, which is specific to gambling establishments and the income of your winners, as well as the T4 and T4A, which are income tax forms that are used in Canada. Now we are going to get into a little bit more about those payroll tax returns. So every part of your yearly filing includes both information returns as well as your payroll tax returns.
Okay, so for the 941 form, this form is critical that the information on it for your federal wages, Social Security wages and tips, and Medicare wages and tips, and your federal tax withheld match the totals on your W-2s. I recommend that you make sure that these numbers match all the way around before you submit any of them. Other key elements on the 941 are the tips, the Social Security tips. So if your employee is paid tips, but they don't have enough income to cover the taxes on those, line 9 will adjust that. So your liability will be correct as to what you've paid in. Remember, what goes on the W-2 is what the employee paid. So on your 941, it's factoring in both employer and employee taxes, the liability. And your W-2s only reflect what the employee paid, the employee portion. So on line 12, which should be the cumulative total of all your liabilities, that needs to equal your Schedule B. If it doesn't, you need to go back and make that determination where what is off. And it could very well be your fractions of cents, paid sick leave, or this adjustment for the amount that the employee did not pay in on your tips. Another thing is if you do a pay run, that's an adjustment to a regular payroll, and it ends up where your taxes are in the negative amount, it's going to show up on your Schedule B as a negative. Can't submit it that way. You have to go back to the payroll that it was applicable to and adjust it so that every number on your Schedule B is a positive number. Now remember, Schedule B is just your liabilities. It is not your deposits. You do want to make sure that your deposits were deposited on or before those dates shown and in those amounts shown on your Schedule B so that you avoid any types of penalties or interest.
And then, of course, if you are filing a 941 as part of your quarter, you also need to be filing a Form 940. Form 940 is your federal unemployment tax return. This is where you as an employer are documenting the unemployment tax that you are paying as a result of having employees. So you will need to, most states, I think all 50 of them, have systems in place for state unemployment tax as well as federal unemployment tax. And so you'll need to file your Form 940 with the federal government at the end of the year, as well as any state unemployment tax returns for the states in which you have employees. Most employers are going to be in that camp where you have both a federal and a state unemployment return. And again, the unemployment tax is a tax that you pay because you have employees. It is not collected or deducted from your employees' wages. So this is a corporate return, and there's no information for unemployment that needs to be directly sent to your employees at the end of the year. Now we are going to get into form modifications. Getting into those filing requirement changes. There are some really significant changes this year when it comes to information returns. So starting in January, our upcoming filing season, the threshold that requires you to e-file your information returns is dropping from 250 to 10. And so this is a fully cumulative requirement, so across all of your information returns. And so if you are filing more than 10 information returns total, you will need to e-file all of your information returns this year at the federal level. A number of states are also implementing these kinds of requirements, and there's some really great reasons behind it. It does sometimes feel like a hassle to have to make those changes if you're used to mailing in paper forms, but there are some really great benefits to e-filing starting this year, which is a whole lot more transparency on the status of your filing, and then also just being able to get that information back and forth faster with the government. It'll also reduce overhead and lessen the amount of spending at the government level on processing these returns. So it'll help all of us be more efficient and also be more transparent and more accurate in our reporting. There are a lot of forms that are affected by this change, but the important ones to really think about are the 1099 forms. It also is inclusive of your 1095B and 1095C. And so you will need to have those e-files available. And then on top of that, if you're filing a 1042, 1042S, or anything from the 1098 series, those are also going to need to be e-filed starting this year. There's also many requirements across other types of environments where you may need to e-file. So always good to use that as your primary and preferred option. So a little bit about this. The IRS receives nearly 4 billion information returns every year. And in the next 5 years, that number is expected to jump to 5 billion. And so E-filing, like I said already, is really aimed at lessening that administrative burden, both for you and for the government. This can make it a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot cheaper to file your information returns. It also has a little bit of an added benefit of being more environmentally friendly and faster. Additionally, e-filing gives you the benefit of being able to make those information returns and informational papers available to your employees faster, and it makes it a lot easier for them to file their 1040s. A lot of our employees we know really count on their refund as part of their annual accounting and budgeting, and so being able to file their 1040 easier and faster makes it easier for them to get that refund. And so a little bit more about the technology side of the changes that are happening this year. The IRS is making a switch from the FIRE system, which is a kind of older e-filing system, to the IRS system. The IRS system is brand new technology that is increased in accuracy, makes for more timely reporting, as well as improved timelines for a receipt and acknowledgement of those returns, as well as an ability for you to file your submissions for your extensions and corrections, as well as improved security. In order to use the IRS system, you do need to have what's called a transmitter control code. It can take about 45 days if you want to do this on your own. On the upside of things is Greenshades is here to help. Greenshades has transmitter control codes, and we have been part of the testing process for the new IRS portal. So we've been working hand in hand with the government over the last couple of years to work on and test this new technology. And we're really excited to be able to offer this form of filing for our clients this year. All right, now on to the 1099-K.
So on the 1099-K, these changes were supposed to be implemented January 1st of 2023 for the tax year 2022. The threshold was $20,000. It is now dropped to $600. So if you are a company that issues credit card or uses credit card receipts for your transactions, you know that you're required to issue 1099-Ks. You're going to probably be issuing a whole lot more of them this year because of that change in the threshold. That is a big difference from 20,000 down to 600. And this also falls under the parameters of the collective count of 10 information returns. So those forms will also have to be filed electronically more than likely.
And we'll move on. There's also some changes coming for Puerto Rico and U.S. territories. The IRS has been pretty diligent in the last couple of years about working to consolidate their forms where possible. So going forward, the Form 940 and 941 that were previously in specialized versions for use in Puerto Rico, those versions have been consolidated into the general federal templates for 940 and 941. Those 940 and 941 templates are available in Spanish for Spanish-speaking filers, but Puerto Rico businesses are now able to file the regular 940 and 941 without any additional worker challenges. All right, so we are getting to kind of the end of our material here. Just a couple more slides, and then we will open it up for Q&A. I know we've gotten a couple questions already in the box, but if you have any additional questions, please feel free to add them now. Let's talk a little bit about filing year-end forms with Greenshades. Greenshades has been a leader in this area for more than 20 years with dozens of long-term employees who have many years of tax and compliance expertise. We're able to manage and file various W-2s, 1099s, all in one seamless process. And we also empower your employees to access their tax forms. We have a self-service portal called Green Employee, which allows for them to easily access their information. We also offer integration with common tax preparation software like TurboTax, where the employee simply needs to allow TurboTax access to their Green Employee account to get that information. All of our software is cloud-based and has great security. It's an all-in-one solution that supports your employees from hire to rehire for the full life cycle. So today we've talked about a couple of really important things around how to understand year-end forms, talking about which forms to file, and how to stay on top of those critical filing deadlines. Talk a little bit about our technology, what Greenshades offers to help you automate that process. And then today our big focus was really on those compliance errors. So focusing on how to get those forms filed timely and accurate to avoid penalties and also to ensure your employees have a great year end.
So that is all we have time for today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.